I'm Maximus.
Hyla.
I'm Destin.
I'm Max.
I'm refusing to answer.
So, well, what would you recommend to incoming accelerator students?
I recommend that you all budget your time wisely, that you actually using the time given to you to work on business stuff rather than anything else, because if you just do it for just that period and that's all you do, you manage to fill it up with just business work, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
If you stay on top of the work, it's not too hard to catch up. And if you really want to have a successful business, make sure that you are constantly putting time to your business and idea. A lot of opportunities for you to be exposed to investors who want to invest in your idea. So make sure to stay positive and forward thinking, and make sure that you have a solid team. If you are building a business with people you don't like, then you're wasting your time. And a waste of time and such precious years of your life is the worst thing you can do. So I just recommend that you find quality, good teammates that you don't mind spending every day with.
That's some really good advice, Destin.
For me, the advice that I would give is most likely the people that you do choose for a business team is not going to be exactly fitting for what you want, and you just kind of have to go with it because the teachers aren't really going to let you switch out.
Anyway, I would probably recommend, I definitely agree with Maximus to be very aware of your time. There's certain things that are due. You must, very wisely use your time when it is given to you. Oh, and I remember. I was gonna tell them to not be afraid to take risks and
Be a risk
business.
taker.
Yeah, be a risk taker, but also know the consequences. Have a calculated risks that you take. But yeah, don't be afraid. Spread your wings, and
I agree.
don't be afraid of change. There's definitely gonna be a lot of changing going around. With whether it's the senior space or the process of how they do the assignments, or expect a lot of changes. It's probably the only thing that's constant around here is that things are always changing.
What are some other things we couldn't have done it without?
We couldn't have done it without support from some of our mentors,
definitely.
such as Mr. Sebesta.
Mr. T.
Mr.
Yeah.
T's a dope
Mr.
dude.
Sebesta, yeah, definitely.
I'm saying Mr.
Sebesta?
He told us
Dude,
that he got
he's
us all
great.
the money. Yeah. Well,
He's
for our
given us so
GoFundMe,
much good
That's
advice.
about it.
Thank
He
you,
told
Mr.
us-
Sebesta, by the way.
He told us
to set up a GoFundMe,
set up a GoFundMe.
and that's
Mr.
where
T.
100% of our
Thank you,
funds
Mr.
came
T.
from.
Honestly,
You're awesome.
And
Yeah. Anyone here who actually did the work, the business work, like Kyla and Jason, if they didn't do basically everything,
What do you?
our group would have died a long time ago.
Destin,
So
let's
thank you
face
guys
it.
for that time.
Kyla and Jason did 90% of the work.
I think
Especially
Jason.
for this later half.
I felt like I always couldn't have done it without my family. Always.
I feel
We wouldn't be a team without the support of the senior teachers. Break
Thank you,
apart as a
senior
team.
teachers.
We were about to break
Thank
apart
you.
as a team, and they went through lengths to make sure that we stayed together.
I do
No.
agree that I
Well, we
now
went through
thinking
some
back,
conflict.
I do appreciate the senior teachers more than I did before, and I probably didn't regard them highly enough before. But now that I know, it's they did pretty good.
Should we move on?
Okay, let's look at what would we have done differently.
One of our biggest
I will
mistakes
destroy you.
is choosing to do cloud saving.
That's
That's kind of where it starts snowballing.
I mean, it was
Because,
mostly Justin wanting to do that and not moving away from it because he got caught up in his own sunk cost fallacy. You also could have been doing other things and not worrying about it and let him just worry about it.
I feel like I could have done more art, especially because I really like doing art, but I was too focused doing a lot of schoolwork and homework and presentations and such. I don't know, I feel it took a lot of my time. What about you, Jason? What would you have done differently?
I probably wouldn't have compromised with him at all, because I think that's one of the other things that we had a lot of troubles with is that we compromised and we broke up the team instead of just saying, well, if you don't like it,
That was probably one of the biggest.
yeah, is that you gave up on the project while everyone else still wanted to do it, and then everyone gave up on both projects because we didn't want to work on either.
Some things I'd
Number
probably do
3.
differently is, put a bit more time into Chibi Clicker than I would do. I really started to fall off of it just because I was heavily disencouraged because of my huge hardware bottleneck. I just felt like with each update, Unity kept on pushing me down further and further until eventually it was just like, yeah, you can't use that. But I still feel like, what I had, I did pretty good. I was able to release a mobile game. We were able to release a mobile game to a platform
Yeah,
that was
not
playable
bad.
and usable and had some
People
sort
actually
of
downloaded
functionality.
it. Mm-hmm.
And we had some positive feedback on it, so I think that was good. But overall, I think I did pretty good for the rest of the year. I wouldn't do anything differently. If I had the chance, I'd probably choose the same team because out of the all the pools of students in this room, it's probably one of the best mixes you can get.
If I had to train, because you were saying about the team, no offense to you, but I would have taken Billy over you, Matt.
Wow. How to start a conflict?
I'm just being honest.
Explain some qualities of Billy that would you make him.
He's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker. He's going to push through. He doesn't typically give up. He's an editor.
He can edit videos.
He's an editor. He has
Why
to
am I adding
learn
on
the
this?
ability to push through because editing's tough and it's sometimes pretty boring and tedious.
Now look at some of Max's good qualities.
Honestly, I'm a terrible person. I don't even care.
He has experience in code, Unity.
Mhm.
He when he starts working, he can get
Well, yes,
really
but that's also
dedicated
one of the
projects.
major bottlenecks that we hit was that we were using Unity instead of trying to make on mobile.
Let's go to your greatest nightmare then.
The process from Chibi Clicker to just transitioning from Chibi Clicker to Project Howl, and then subsequently canceling both projects. Because nowadays I want to work on Project Howling because I still have so many ideas for it, and the image
Right.
is so strong in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just
Right.
yeah.
Your greatest nightmare. Everybody else.
I guess compromises, just due to basically not wanting to create conflict because most of us here are very non-confrontational. I probably could have succeeded if we just put our foot down and just focused on Chibi Clicker and just continued on.
My greatest nightmare. Having to work on Unity with a slow computer.
What about you, Max?
You know what? The biggest problem that I had was my computer's constantly breaking.
Yeah. Do you go
Because
through
that happens a lot.
This is my third computer this year.
Jesus.
And that's just because it just stopped working.
Well, Kyla has that.
Oh. I don't think it's ever gotten to that point, which is I'm very thankful, grateful that it hasn't gotten to that point. But not having enough time to do things. I don't know why, but it's just I can't.
That's just your story, your life story in a nutshell.
Like,
all
I don't
the
have enough
tasks.
time
Yeah.
to do this or that. Or
It's
that.
'cause
I
you're
mean, I
very
still
thorough.
do it eventually. I mean, it still gets done, but I just feel like it could have been better if I had more time. Time is my enemy. Anyway, let's continue.
Time is everyone's enemy.
Yep.
Okay, part of the good, the bad, and the ugly is highlights, failures, and successes. Anything you guys want to Okay, I remember the first time I was doing art for Chibi Clicker, and it was such a success with Kira, which was or was
You
it?
had so much energy when we first started Chibi Clicker.
Right? I was super, super excited when I first, I think it was Kira, right? The
Yeah.
art,
Yeah,
the
I
art
think you
thing
did
that I was
Kira
using,
first.
and I was so into it, and I was coming up with characters boom, 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 and such a success, and I was super pumped, let's do it, and then I was yeah. Anyway,
Yes, it is.
so what about your guys' highlights and successes? What do you feel what is the good?
Overall, I can see this year as a success.
I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but it's been a good year.
Honestly, this year's much better than junior year.
Yeah.
Anyway, skills. So,
Um,
what have you learned, and how will you apply them to the real world?
I learned plenty of skills. Some of them are evident, such as improved pitching skills and better human action skills. But I also learned some new coding skills here. Some stuff pushed me to learn code, such as doing projects with Mrs. Parker and doing stuff for our class, and just different projects that I pursued on my own time. that I was able to in the business time. So yeah, those were some good things.
I agree. I learned a lot about pitching and human interaction. I was really pretty shy when I got here, and now pretty good. A year before, I wouldn't be drawing in front of people, be too nervous or something. But yeah, confidence, all those competencies they talk about, you do learn them. Like even if like a lot, no matter how many times everyone complains about like assignments and stuff, they do teach you stuff over time. You learn these skills. They're all useful in the real world. Because you're gonna come across real problems. You learn a lot here.
Definitely.
You learn about yourself. It's all.
Like you definitely learn a lot more here in Patino, because I don't think if we were still in our like traditional high schools, wherever it is, Fresno High or like Duncan or anywhere else, I don't think it would have been the same as what we've, the skills we've learned here. I mean, definitely, I do agree with Maximus, because I was a shy person before I came here. But now, I don't know, it feels okay to be in front of people now. It still gets nerve-wracking at times, but you kind of get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you learn how to talk, you learn how to pitch, to present yourself, be confident,
If
like
anything, all schools
time
should teach you how to
management.
do
Oh my
that.
gosh, time management. I feel like, because like old schools, we would just sit in class and like watch the teachers do their thing, do the assignment. We barely had any presentations or things like when you had to like actually get up there and do stuff. So, anybody else has final stuff to say, or we can end our podcast here.
I think that's
Last
it.
words? Any last words?
Any last words?
No?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's it.
This concludes our podcast. Thank you for listening, and bye. This is the end.